Good morning. Welcome to the VNN, Voice News Network Canada. This is an addition to our Financial for You series, and we have the two experts with us, Mr. Pramod Goyal and Mr. DP Jan. We'll continue with this series as what we have done last week, and let's start moving into Finance for You. So this series is very important as for the people who are looking into certain aspects, certain questions, certain details, who wanted to approach a proper professional people who can help them, and they can secure the consultation what they need, as what we have discussed last time. So today's topic is in terms of business finance and in terms of getting those help either from the government, from the banks, or from financial institutions or other things. So I'll ask a question: what kind of financial support or options can a new immigrant who's looking to start a business can look for? So I'll ask from Pramodji first, and then Mr. Jan.
Thank you, Sudhirji. For anybody who is starting to a new business, whether it's a new immigrant or an existing person who is settled here, any business, of course, would require capital to start. And then depending on what the nature of the business, it could be equipment or any machinery that could be required. So there could be financing required for that. It could be for working capital needs, for soft costs, for like buying inventories, or for running operations, for other aspects of business. Or it could be anything that they need to do, build, whether it is for setting up their online presence, for websites. The list could be endless. There could be n number of things that any particular business may need to get onto business. And so financial help is available. There are different programs, different categories of financing that is available. There are multiple sources of financing that one could tap in. Of course, it all depends on what the project is, what the business is about, what the requirement is, and what the business overall entails. So every business has a different need, so it is not something very general. So depending on the specific needs of the business, they can be tailor-made. But all I can say is there are n number of options that are available for any given business to look for.
But if this is specific to the new immigrant who just came, got his PR or her PR and settled down here, what are the opportunities for them? Because most of the banks, they refuse because of the past credit score and past, financial details they may not have.
Jan sir, you want to address that?
Sure. Well, Sudhirji, very timely and very pertinent questions when it comes for the particularly for the new immigrant or the resident who are already been to Canada, they want to start a new business. Since you touched upon the point that when there is no good credit or no past experience in history, what kind of financial assistance could be available? So I will touch upon here that for a startup business, there is a very famous program. It is called as CSBFL, Canada Small Business Financing Program. Basically, this is a program which is guaranteed by the federal government, and each and every startup business could qualify, provided they have some sort of down payment available with them. There is a maximum limit of $1 million. This $1 million limit could include the cost of the assets. Assets may include the equipment, machinery, chattels, furniture, their IT cost, and maybe a leasehold improvement or even buying a property. So altogether, this could be maximum $1 million, and maximum funding in terms of loan to value could be 90%. Having said that, it doesn't mean that each and every business would qualify for 90%. It's depending on the nature of the business, strength and experience of the individual entrepreneur. But yes, maximum we can go to 90%. And this loan is guaranteed by the government, by the federal government. So this is the most popular program when it comes for the new startup businesses. Well, government charges 2% fee for that purpose, and this fees can be paid upfront or it can be added to the loan value. The rate of interest is at the same time is also fixed. This is prime plus 3%. A business borrower could choose in between a variable rate of interest or fixed rate of interest, definitely when someone applies for this loan, they have to submit a business plan, all the quotations for the assets they want to buy. So this program is good for the new immigrant who want to start a business or any existing resident who want to start a business. Well, most of the businesses, they are qualified under this category, but yes, credit matters a lot. But for the new immigrant, even if they don't have good credit or not yet settled, established their credit, still this program is available for them.
There are these small businesses are as what we just discussed. They are advised to explore the Canadian small business loan, which you have just explained. Can you please explain some more details in terms, how they can fulfill the requirements?
You want to add or?
I think as Mr. Jain was mentioning earlier, so depending on the nature of the business, so whatever the particular requirement is, whether it is to add some machinery or equipment, or they want to set up online presence. So depending on what the actual need is of the business, so they'll have to provide the information based on their business plan as to what the requirements are and where they are going to procure that facility or supplies from, how much it's going to cost, and of course the related invoices and the quotations. Is that what you're asking? So the lending institution or the bank who would lend that money against the program would look for all those details. And of course the foremost thing is when any application goes into a lending institution, the borrower or the businessman has to provide a full business plan outlining what the business is going to be, what is the source of revenue, how much they are expecting, what is their proportionate expense, what is the profitability, and justifying that okay, they would be able to meet the obligations of the business, whether in terms of any fixed costs or employees or repayment of the loan that they are seeking.
So any such requirements as they have to have minimum 2 employees on payroll or any of such requirements?
Not necessarily under the CSBFL or the Canada Small Business Program. They could be self-employed. So, of course, every business may have employees, but there is not a mandatory requirement that you need to have certain number of employees.
Yeah. And I want to add, Sudhirji, one more point over here. This program is widely used in most of the lending institutions. For the new startup businesses, they prefer this program because it is guaranteed by the government. And at the same time, this program is available not only for the startups, but for any existing business they want to expand. If they meet the guidelines which are laid down in the program, they could also qualify. They want to expand, want to add new machineries, new equipment, want to open a new location. For that purpose, this is available. And most of the lending institutions, that includes all the major banks, all the credit unions, trust companies and all, they prefer and they lend under this program.
So the expansion program, if an existing organization or company who would like to expand, this loan is also available to them. At the same time, it is after this pandemic, 2 years of this suffering, a lot of businesses are facing that problem, the crunch, facing problem in terms of moving into the new line or expanding the existing line, and they need support and help. So you may look into this and may even call these two gentlemen for the help. Next question I will ask Pramodji. If any business cannot secure or is not eligible for the traditional financing, other options that could be available to them?
Yes, again, there are multiple streams as I spoke earlier. So besides the traditional financing that comes in from our nationalized banks or mainstream banks, there are multiple institutions, whether it is credit unions or there are foreign banks who are like Schedule 2 banks, as we say. They are also, a lot of them are present here and have operations supporting businesses. Then besides that, you have leasing and finance companies. You have merchant financing or advances companies. You have credit card companies. So there are multiple options that one can look at. There are even private organizations, private angel investors, or venture capital firms that also support new startups and ideas. So there could be multiple options for any businessman, even if they are not able to secure the traditional financing.
But the interest in that case will be very high.
I would not say very high, but yes, of course, I mean, they may not be exactly what you could otherwise gain from a regular bank. So the cost might be slightly higher on it, not in every case, again, it depends on. But I would say yes, in general parlance, you can expect a little bit of higher cost, but then you have to justify based on your business model. I mean, if you secure, say, financing at X percentage of cost, and then if your business has the potential to generate multiples of that, then it does not really hurt. But of course, to answer this question specifically, the cost might be slightly different than the traditional bank.
Sudhirji, can I add one point over here?
Yes, please.
Well, we just talked about the CSBFL program that is mainly for the startups, and that's the maximum limit is $1 million. But there could be businesses, existing business or new business, where their initial funding needs or the capital investment is more than $1 million. Now your viewers might think, oh, there's nothing for me. But that's not the case. Well, this business model or this funding model is good for those who have a limited kind of initial investment. But if a business is starting with investment, say $3 million, $4 million, or multiple $1 million, yes, they can always apply for the commercial loan. Commercial loan is not a part of the CSPFL, where need is more than $1 million. They always can apply for any of the lending institutions. That includes all the major banks, credit unions, private Schedule II banks, in other lenders as well, where they can apply for the higher amount. Non-traditional lending ways, it could be one, if someone want to buy a commercial property, whether it could be a rental investment property, which is generating rental income, investment income, or it is used for your own business. There could be VTB, vendor take back, where the seller himself is funding your needs. Seller says, okay, no problem, you cannot get funding from somewhere else, or you are getting X amount of funding, but your need is Y. I am there to support you. And then vendor can finance that 10, 20, 50%, even 100% or 90%. Definitely, rate of interest could be a little higher. It all depends on your needs, your requirement, your expertise, and the risk involved in that particular business.
Okay. So how long does an average loan possibly take?
Very good question, Sudhirji. But it depends on what the requirements is and how soon a borrower is able to meet those requirements. There are certain aspects, as I mentioned initially, a business plan is a must in most of the cases. Then you have to support with the documentation that is required. Say if you're going to operate from a particular location, then you need to have either ownership of that place or a lease in place. So if you are buying equipment, then you need to highlight where you're going to buy, what the cost is going to be, so things like that. So there are like multiple requirements. So as soon as you're able to provide the documentation to the lender, so that is the period which takes a maximum amount of time. So satisfying the requirements and the paperwork attached to the lending institution. Then of course at the institution level, I would say usually it will be a week to a 2-week period to analyze, evaluate, and come back with the response from the bank side, and then execution of the documents, which would be another couple of days. So usually the overall process should not take idly from 2 to 3 weeks or at the most 4 weeks, but it all depends on the borrower as to how soon they are able to provide the upfront information. So in case they are working with somebody, then after I think that period can be reduced very much, because then they know upfront what needs to be provided, and they can always help them compile and get that information.
So in majority of the cases which I have come across with talking to various business people, especially the small scale business people, the people those are running as small enterprise, they have a valid question, or the question which most of people ask. They don't know how this process works. They don't know what are the documents required. They don't know. I mean, though it may be different from case to case, but with those findings in terms of having that information, you probably will have, or Jansa probably will have that information. How you can help them?
Very good question, Sudhirji. Definitely, there's a stage where the role of a consultant and business advisor comes into play. So definitely, myself and Pramodji, we are in a position because we deal with all these kind of situations each and every day. We help a lot of startup businesses, existing businesses secure funding. And I am failing in putting my comment if I won't add the name of a very famous financial institution, that's BDC, Business Development Corporation. BDC is the crown corporation, and the mandate of BDC is to just fund the businesses. BDC is very aggressive, yes, and BDC generally finance and fund each and every kind of businesses. Definitely, well, it should meet the guidelines. BDC has a lot of programs. It could be startup business, any existing business, they need any working capital, inventory buying, any account receivable funding, any buying any commercial property. So all these purposes, BDC is there. BDC is aggressive, and BDC can go beyond where traditional bank doesn't go.
No, I agree, Jansa. My question was in terms BDC may also have a lot of requirements in terms of the paperwork, in terms of all other documentations and all other details, which a small business people who doesn't even have a time, because he's selling, he's preparing, he's working, he's a one-man show kind of thing where he is providing and giving that services or selling those products, and even doing his accounting himself or bookkeeping himself. He doesn't have a time to go through all those details.
We are there.
So that is why I ask you how.
Well, your viewer, they always can approach to us, and we are there. We know most of the programs which most of the traditional lends, alternate lenders, BDC, they run. For each and every program, there could be some set requirement. These are standard requirements, and there could be industry business specific requirement. So we know all ins and out how to make a program, how to submit a business plan, and how to secure the funding. Your viewers, they always can approach us for general requirement, for a specific requirement, or they want us to help them to secure a funding. We are always available.
So you, everybody who's watching us may have heard this very clear and loud. You don't need to do any run around. If you need any kind of help in terms of securing a finance for your company, or taking a loan, or taking grants from the government, it is easier way to look into is approach these gentlemen. They'll be able to help you. Anything else you want to add on this?
Sudhirji, as we've been talking, so my understanding is, and then based on my experience in the industry, there is a lot out there that is available. There are multiple options for businesses, and as you were mentioning, a small business person who is entangled in the day-to-day operations of the business does not have the time or the information or the scope to know about
Even
all
the
the
stress.
all the
Yeah.
available programs and opportunities that is available. So what they need to do is get connected to a right person who can help them in identifying what could be available for their kind of business and their situation. So there is no harm seeking advice, and then depending on what you know, what you learn, and what you want to progress on, you can always take their assistance. So I think one should not be shy enough, or keep thinking that okay, I should go here or there. I think my advice would be to seek appropriate person that they trust or they can approach, and seek the consultation that could help them in securing the required amount.
But there's a common, synergy or common emotions, I would say, with most of the small businesses. They do not want to disclose their information to the known people. They want to go to a professional who has or who complies with all those, information in terms of what you call, secret kind of thing for them, right? It is a kind of a.
That is understandable.
No, it is, but the question here is people, running with various emotions while working. They are the single man operation in their systems. They don't have a time. They have to spend that time with families as well. They have to spend time with business as well. They come in the morning, go back in the evening. They sometimes don't even have a time to even go and meet professionals like you. So how it is possible, even if they approach on phone, and you can advise them or you can go and meet them at their location? Is it possible?
It all depends on situation. Well, whatever way it works out, definitely, since we are business person as well, in our mandate is support the businesses, our clients, new clients. Again, it all depends on the situation. Yes, we prefer if client visit to our office because we have all the tools available within the office. But if situation warrants us and it's that kind of necessity, we don't mind visiting once or for initial meeting. But definitely at the end, client has to visit to our office because we can't carry all the tools. Yes. Here I want to add there could be few other financing avenues available. Well, in worst scenario, if because of any reason, because of any credit issues and something else, if a business is not able to secure any kind of financing from traditional lenders, alternate lenders, sometimes what happens, it could be their own financing, like the home-based equity, HELOC. If they have any real estate where they have built up equity, they can take that equity out and finance their business. Though we generally don't support it, but at the same time, there could be a situation where because of any reason, you are not able to secure any kind of funding from anywhere. But yes, there is a huge equity sitting in the business and you know the business model is good, business will make money for you, you can at the same time take that money out. Nowadays, there is a lot of growth of the private lenders in the market. Most of these private lenders, they are very expensive, but it could be for immediate need where you need money right in one day or 2 days and then you can repay it within few weeks or a month or 2 months or few months. They are private lenders. Most of these private lenders, they are expensive, but again, depending on the situation, for immediate needs, these could be a good source. And these private lenders, that lending they make, it doesn't go on your credit. So it's a kind of personally secured financing. That's why they are taking higher risk. So obviously, rate of interest is higher.
So even in case of the private lending, Mr. Jan and Mr. Goyal, they both are available to you. Before you sign any documents with the private lenders, it is good to approach them for them to see the documents, whether it is favorable to you or favorable to the private lender only. So it is very important to check all aspects, and for all those aspects, all those details, the best part is they are available, professional help is available. So you approach them, you get to know them also at the same time, and they will be able to provide what support you need, what financing you need, and don't be shy approaching such professionals. So it is for a long term, for a short term loans or any kind of loans, we all must see, all businesses must see this opportunity. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Goyal. Thank you, Mr. Jan.
Thanks very much.
We'll meet you again in the next week for this series, Finance and You. Till then, signing off. Thank you. I'm Sudhir Anand.